played the longest chess game I've ever played in my life. I was playing round number 5 of Reykjavik Open, a huge chess tournament that I'm playing in right now in Reykjavik, Iceland. And I was facing a German chess player called Uwe Arndt, who was rated 1951. Now, I actually faced him like a year ago in another tournament, and we drew there. So we were both coming in here really wanting to win. So this game, I really wanted to win starting the game because I kind of felt like my tournament hadn't been going so well up till this point, so I really wanted to win this game. So I sat down, we shook hands, and the game started. So he played knight f3 as the first move, I went d5, he went g3, and I played c5, and he went bishop g2. So he's basically just fianchettoing his bishop. I'm taking some center, but he's going to want to bounce back and take that center back with d4. So I played knight c6, d4, takes, e5, and now it looks like I have a really nice center, but actually after he goes c4, my center has a few problems. Like a lot of my pawns are kind of attacked. So the best move here is maybe to go knight f6, but I didn't play it because I was kind of scared of bishop g5. And I honestly didn't really properly know the theory here. Like knight c3, this, and now castles is apparently just the best move. And I didn't really know this. I thought that like this would just make me lose a pawn. But apparently this is actually something that is very, playable. So it's great. I actually learned the lesson here with this game because I didn't know that I could play this opening. So after c4, I went e4 just to block this bishop from attacking my pawn, but this already becomes a little bit of a strange opening for me. So knight f6, he went bishop g5, bishop e7, just unpinning this knight. Knight c3, bishop e6, I was defending this pawn. He went queen a4, threatening this pawn, and I castled, giving it up because if he takes, actually, I'm going to have a pretty good position after rook c8 threatening the queen. The queen has to move, and then this pawn is hanging. So far the game looks pretty normal. I mean, he was playing pretty fast. I was playing pretty fast too. Everything was normal, but what neither of me and him knew was that we would be the final game in this playing hall. Like this playing hall that you see right here with all these boards, all of them finished before we finished. We were the final game, and our game became 100 moves long. It is the longest classical game I've ever played in my life, I think. So rook d1, queen b6, this was a really important move. And my mom was actually really happy when I found this move.
Yes, bigger difference between winning and losing. And here it came. Oh, I'm so happy. Here it came. Queen b6, this very good move. This was the most active move. I'm so happy. That Anna played. This was just such an important moment. She finds this good move.
So rook d1, the idea is that he's threatening to take this pawn because this one is pinned. So I really needed to get my queen out of the way, but this is a scary move to play because after takes, knight takes d4, knight takes d5, sorry, is possible, and this was the move that he played. So he took, and then I went queen takes b2 to get my pawn back. And the idea now is that this pawn is weak. So he played rook e1, and here I played bishop c3, which is not a mistake, but I should have gone e3. This is the move that I was planning on doing, and this is the move that I should have gone for. Because here, if he takes, he's just going to get some really bad pawns, and now bishop c3 is possible. Now I played bishop c3 first because I thought it would be the same thing, and I missed or forgot that he can go rook b5 and attack my queen first, and when I move my queen, he has he could go rook d1 and threaten my queen, and now it would be with a tempo, but also after rook f1, because the rook is on b5, e3 is no longer possible because the rook is hanging. So I ended up just simply taking on e2, and this was very fine, but I think it would have been much better if the pawn was on e3 instead, doubled. So rook d8, all of this was good. I went rook b8 now. I didn't really want to trade. I got a little bit worried about my king. I should play g6 pretty soon, but here I was just kind of moving around. I went a5, keeping things defended, queen f5, g6. All of these moves were kind of waiting moves. I was just trying to improve my position. And I was quite happy here with how it looked. I mean, this looked like a very safe position that I could never lose. That is what I felt like. So I went king g2, and here maybe I should go h5. I went rook d6 first. Now h5, which I think is good. He played queen c2. I could have traded, and this would have been a very, very equal position. I wanted to play for the win. I went queen f6. He went queen e4, and now was the moment where I made a mistake. It wasn't a terrible mistake, but I think for me, like, this was kind of a mistake. So I was kind of feeling like my tactical vision was not like on point. Like sometimes when I'm playing chess, I feel like Tal, like, which is one of the best tactical players ever. Not because I feel like one of the greatest tactical players ever, but I feel like, you know, for me, I'm playing like pretty good tactics that game, right? But this game, I kind of felt the opposite. I felt like I wasn't seeing a lot of tactics. For some reason, and when I was calculating, I wasn't calculating so well. And what happened was actually that I just had a really big miscalculation. I wanted to play rook d4 to threaten the queen so that after the queen moves to like e2, I can play h4 and just weaken this king a little bit. But I didn't play rook d4 simply because of the fact that I thought he had bishop takes f7, which doesn't work because rook takes, and then just king takes. I just forgot that I can take with the king and I don't have to take with the queen, which would just lose the game. I completely forgot that the king can take. So this is really just like a big miscalculation that shouldn't happen at my level, but I just missed it for some reason. So here I didn't play rook d4 solely because of that reason. I played rook d2 instead, but then after rook c6 and rook d6, I'm now trading rooks, and this is actually my very active rook. And now after rook d1, he's getting the activity, and this, even though it doesn't look like a big mistake eval bar-wise, actually became really practically difficult for me to play. Because now I need to stay with my rook pretty much on f8 to defend this f7 pawn, which is a big weakness. So I played king g7, rook f3, queen g5. I wanted to trade queens, he didn't want to. I went king h7. And now actually I can play f5, but this was to me a move that looked a little bit scary right now. But this is actually the best move, so I went kind of back and forth. He played king h3 because he did not want to repeat. I could see it in his eyes. He did not want to draw. Bishop c5, queen c4, and now I blundered. I could have just simply gone queen e6, and this would have been a draw because we would be trading rooks, and this different bishop color endgame is just a draw. So I could have done that, but instead I wanted to be a little bit fancy, and I played a terrible move, which was king g7, blundering my a5 pawn just like that. And now everybody, the rest of this game became extremely exciting because I now had to have a much more difficult position and try to hold it and try to defend. So I just blundered the pawn for some reason, and I had a lot of time when I did this blunder. Like, I had 18 minutes on the clock, so it really wasn't a time issue. It was just that at this point we had played for some hours, and I just missed it, which is something that happened. So I went f6 here. I kind of here wanted to play g5, but I realized that g5 was probably not really that good because it opened up my king so much. So I went rook d8 instead, bishop d4. And here I was just kind of trying to reroute my pieces. I got into time trouble again. I went king h6. Now, I mean, it got really scary because this a pawn was just advancing the whole time. So he played a few bad moves. Maybe he wasn't advancing as fast as he could, which was for me very lucky. I went rook back. He went queen e8, threatening on g6. He was kind of just rerouting with his queen. I went f5 finally, bishop b5. And now this is a mistake. But my idea was that I wanted to prevent him from going rook d3. So rook here, bishop f6, queen a8, rook d8, threatening the queen. The queen went back, and now I play the move f4. And this move, I thought the idea was that if he takes, I can take here, and I thought this would be easier for me to play. But actually now, after f4, he has this move, rook e6, which is the move that he played, which is just very strong. And now I cannot take here because my bishop is hanging. So now I am super lost. I played rook d4. And if he plays a5 now, I can pretty much just resign. There is really not a lot of things that I can do. This pawn is just marching. It's just going bam, bam, and bam. Like, it is just taking step by step by step. And it is unstoppable. So luckily he didn't play it. He went rook c6 and threatened my queen. I went queen d8. I maybe should have gone queen e5 to just, keep the queen active, but I wanted to stop a5. So rook c4, and now I took on g3, and I realized the moment we traded rooks that this was now going to be a draw in my brain. Because I thought, okay, queen check, he's going to pretty much have to trade queens, and after we trade queens, I'm gonna get this endgame where it's a different colored bishop endgame, where the only extra pawn is this pawn, and this should be very easy for me to defend, I thought. But boy, was I wrong. Okay, I've never used that sentence, boy, was I wrong. But it felt like a good moment to do it. I was so wrong. I thought this was easy. I was just kind of blitzing out at this point. I was feeling so confident. I was like, this is the easiest endgame of my life. We would still play for like 35 moves from this point. Like, you have no idea what happened. So bishop c3, I wanted to prevent the pawn from pushing. And my idea here was just simply to trade these pawns. Obviously, if I'm able to trade these pawns for these ones, then my bishop is just going to sacrifice itself for this pawn at some point, and then it's going to be an easy draw. So the only way my opponent can win is if somehow he gets 2 passed pawns. So I told myself, Anna, we cannot give Uwe 2 passed pawns. That is the one thing we cannot do. Maybe didn't follow my own rule. So king of 3, g5. I mean, here really, I can just go bishop 8. Like, I can pretty much just go back and forth here. Like, I don't need to go g5. Because if I go bishop here, like, the best thing that he can do pretty much is to get, like, a king up over here. But then I'm just going to go for these pawns. So this should just also be a draw. But I decided to go g5 to try to trade. Takes and takes. And actually now his best chance to, try to do something is to go bishop takes h5, but I mean, this is just going to be a draw as well, so this actually doesn't do anything. But bishop d7, I went h4 thinking that, we're going to trade and it's going to be easy draw, but he was playing for the win here. So he went g4. And I thought, okay, this is the easiest thing I've ever seen. Like, I was like, okay, whatever. I'm going to go back and forth. Back, forth, back, forth. I was like, what is he doing? Just back and forth. I thought that this bishop would stop this pawn from pushing, and this king would make sure that this pawn cannot push. So I thought that I couldn't see how he could push for the win here. But then, after I was blitzing out these moves, I was maybe even looking a bit annoyed. I wasn't annoyed. People were telling me, Anna, you look annoyed. I wasn't annoyed. I obviously understand that in a position where I am a pawn down, my opponent wants to try to win. I just thought that this was the easiest draw on earth. I thought there was really no play here. But actually, there's a really interesting thing that he tried, which is actually quite good. And it made me very scared. So I'm also just going to drink some water. This is some Icelandic water. 1 second. Hydration is important during a 100-move game. But anyways, so I was looking annoyed, but I wasn't annoyed at all. Like, you should fight until the very end, and I loved how much Uwe was trying to beat me. That is part of competitive chess. There were lots of people who were saying, why is he not offering a draw, this, a dead draw, just because they see the eval bar. But the truth is that this is not a dead draw, because he has a very interesting thing he can try, that if I don't find the best moves, I'm losing. I need to find a very specific row of precise moves to draw this game. And that is not something everybody does, so I get why he was trying to beat me here. It's just that at this point, I didn't see that he had this try. So I was just going back and forth, chilling with my life, thinking there is nothing, until he played bishop h3. And in this moment, it hit me. I realized what he was going to do. I realized that he was placing his bishop here so that my h-pawn could not push. And now his idea was to bring this king all the way to the b file and force me to sacrifice my bishop for this pawn and then stay with this bishop here, blocking my pawn and just winning with the g-pawn. So I realized, oh, this is what he's going to do. And I panicked because I actually thought I was losing. So now I spent some time because I needed to find the very precise way of playing this. And if I don't play this very precisely right now, I will lose. So I played bishop b4, and I realized that what I needed to do was that I needed to sacrifice this bishop at the same time as I was able to get his bishop, and I needed to try to promote at the same time as him. This is what I realized. Because I realized that in a position where his king is over here, this bishop will not be able to stop these 2 pawns. My bishop will only be able to stop 1 pawn. So I came up with this idea of waiting for his king to come up and now going bishop e1 so that whenever his king, whenever his king went up to d3 and allowed me to go up to f4, I would go king f4 with the idea of going king g3. And this is very precise. I must play this. And now when the king is on c4, I needed to play, there's literally only like a few moves that right now draw the game. I needed to play bishop d2 to prevent this g-pawn from pushing. Because if my bishop stays here, I will lose the game. Like, let's say I go king g3 now, I am losing because of g5. And now this bishop, even though I win this bishop, this one cannot stop both of these pawns. So I went bishop d2 so that when the g-pawn pushes, I would be able to take it. You can still not push the a-pawn. Now king b5, and now the only move that draws is king g3. Any other move loses in this position. If I go something like, let's say I just go here, then there is a5, and then now, I need to go something like bishop d4, but this is just going to be losing for me. I will not be able to stop everything. This king will go up, and yeah, I will not be able to stop everything. So here I must go king g3, now a5, and now once again, the final precise move that I must see is that I must sacrifice this bishop. And this is a brilliant move. Now, my mom was really scared that I wasn't going to do this, so this was like very important for me to find, and I got really low on time. I went down to 7 seconds on the clock because I was calculating this, okay, if I take here, he takes, I take the bishop, pawn pushes, push, 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 here, queen, and h2, and I knew that this was a draw. Because this king is so far away, the queen can only do so many checks before my king will like move and then just queen. So it'll be queen versus queen. So I knew that this was just a draw, and if the queen stays on the g file, then it's a stalemate. So this was actually the game. But what I really want to emphasize is the fact that this was not so easy to see. All of this bishop takes a5, all of these moves were not so easy to see. So there were a lot of people in the comments that were, saying, oh, why is he still trying? Why isn't he just offering a draw? No competitive person in this world would offer a draw in that position, because you need to, as the defender of the position, you need to prove that you're able to defend it. People were also saying, Anna, why are you not offering a draw? Me offering a draw in a position where I'm a pawn down is the most disrespectful thing I can do in chess. And this is something that maybe a lot of you don't know, but there's a kind of unspoken rule in chess, and that is that if you're defending a position, you don't offer a draw. It's the person attacking, the person that's better, that offers the draw. Because if you're worse, you need to prove to your opponent that you can hold the draw. You cannot just ask for it. It's that you just don't do that. It would be a very big sign of disrespect from my side if I did that. So I was never here going to offer a draw. I was waiting for him to either offer me a draw or for the position to just become a clear draw, like king versus king. But I would never offer a draw here. And he wasn't offering a draw because he wanted to win. He wanted to test me. And so, I passed the test, but there is a point in testing. So yeah, definitely not a thing that anybody would do in competitive chess is to offer a draw in that previous position. So now here, h2, he did a few checks, but now he knew that this was just going to be a draw. I just went back and forth, and then he finally went queen takes h2, and the game became a draw after 98 moves and 6 hours of chess. It was insane because I quickly just looked up and I realized that the whole room was empty, and I was whispering with my opponent, and the arbiters were like, you don't need to whisper. Like, just speak at normal volume, there's nobody here.
No need to whisper.
Oh yeah, it's over. It's over. So we finished so late that actually the restaurant was closed, all the food was closed, and I was actually playing round number 6 1 hour after this round. So I was playing another game of chess 1 hour after this one. So I ended up playing 10 hours of classical chess this day. My brain was so fried. It was insane. But especially after this game, my brain was pretty fried, but I was just so happy to have been able to find, you know, the saving line and the saving moves. And even though I drew a lower rated player after the position that I had, this had almost felt like winning the game. And we both played at 95% accuracy, so it was actually quite a good game, even though my initial reaction after the game was that this was the worst game I've ever played. Like, I felt like this was such a bad game. But it wasn't. We both played a long game, we both played pretty well, and my mistake was simply blundering the pawn. That was my biggest mistake in the game. After that, I defended pretty well. So I was relatively happy with this game. I felt like it was a fair result, and this was my round number 5. So after this round, I was at 2.5 points out of 5, but I still had round 6 to go, which was starting in just an hour. So I had to run, get some avocado sandwich, get a smoothie, and then come back and get my brain energized. So in the next video, I will show you how that game went. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're enjoying the tournament. I hope you're enjoying the recaps. And let me know in the comments what your longest chess game has ever been. Like, have you beaten me at that? I don't know. All right. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.